From the year without a summer in 1816 to the American Dust Bowl in the 1930s, extreme weather has always happened. But when extreme weather happens in today's climate, more than 1 Celsius warmer than the pre-industrial global climate, how do we know whether it's largely natural or whether humans are at least partly to blame? That was the question Miles Allen asked in 2003 while watching floodwater from the River Thames approach his kitchen door. Allen, an Oxford University climate scientist, wrote an article for Nature asking whether it would ever be possible to sue anyone for damaging the climate. His question went on to inspire the first ever climate attribution study in 2004, undertaken by Peter Stott at the Met Office, along with Miles Allen and Dahi Stone from Oxford University. This groundbreaking study explored the 2003 European heatwave and found that climate change doubled the likelihood of the event occurring. For the first time, scientists were able to attribute an extreme weather event to human activity, an event that led to an estimated 70,000 deaths. So how did they come to that conclusion? Essentially, they were able to watch the weather play out over thousands of years on 2 different planets. On one planet, only natural factors affected the climate, such as fluctuations in solar activity, volcanic eruptions, and large-scale global circulation patterns. On the other planet, the climate wasn't just affected by natural factors. This planet's climate was under the influence of global warming caused by human emissions of greenhouse gases. Since Stott et al. Aren't exactly interstellar travellers exploring parallel universes, they couldn't actually watch the weather take place on 2 different versions of the same planet. They could, however, get a good approximation by using a model of the Earth's atmosphere in a supercomputer. First, they needed to define the severe weather event they wanted to study. In the case of the 2003 heatwave, that meant knowing when and where it occurred, along with the weather patterns and temperatures that were recorded. Once they had a clear definition of what they were looking for, they ran hundreds of computer model simulations of weather patterns in both a world influenced by natural factors and in a world influenced by natural as well as human factors. When scientists run simulations like this, they end up with thousands of years of data for each world. They can then count the number of times the weather event they defined appears in the 2 different worlds, which makes it possible to see if and by how much human activities have changed the likelihood of that event. Sometimes, attribution studies find that a particular extreme weather event would have been about as likely as it would have been in a world without human influence. Other times, especially in the case of cold weather, human influence has made the event less likely to occur. Often, though, thanks to the science of attribution, we can assess how the likelihood, frequency, or severity of certain heat waves, droughts, flooding, or other extreme events has changed due to human-induced global warming. Those changes or differences might be expressed in orders of magnitude. 1 order of magnitude is equivalent to a multiple of 10. So if an event is 2 orders of magnitude more likely, it would be the same as saying it is 100 times more likely. Factors may also be used. If an event is 5 times more severe in our current climate compared with our pre-industrial climate, we'd say its severity has increased by a factor of 5. Or, if we were using percentages, we'd say an event was 500% as severe now. Sometimes it's useful to talk about return periods, the expected frequency an event would occur if averaged over a very long period. However, a 1 in 100 year event would not necessarily occur exactly once every 100 years. It simply means that in any given year, there's a 1% chance of that event happening. A change in this return period may be identified in attribution studies. For example, if an event had a return period of 1 in 1,000 years in the pre-industrial climate and increased to a 1 in 3 year event in the current climate, we could also say the likelihood of it occurring in any given year has increased from 0.1% to 33%. Numbers like these are usually only given after a particular weather event has happened and an attribution study has taken place. Most of the time, whilst extreme weather is occurring, scientists can't immediately hold humans responsible. However, thanks to scientific advances, attribution studies can now be completed relatively quickly, in a matter of days or weeks. Very recently, it's been possible to produce rapid extreme event attribution with results as soon as 24 hours after an event. Whilst attribution studies are usually undertaken after the event happens, scientists are now able to analyse the chances of exceeding certain thresholds ahead of time, like Met Office scientists did for the possibility of the UK reaching 40 degrees Celsius. We are also just beginning to investigate how attribution might be incorporated into the weather forecast process. It's not always easy to separate the human from the natural influence. For example, when looking at certain parts of the world, such as the UK, that are highly influenced by natural variability, or when studying small-scale weather events such as thunderstorms that may not be well captured by the larger grid boxes in the computer model. But as the science continues to advance and as more attribution studies are completed, we'll better understand how climate change contributes to more extreme weather and how we can adapt to our current and future climate.